Let's take a look at three different Avashtas that are often overlooked in Vedic astrology. These are the Balaadi Avashtas, the Jagradadi Avashtas, and the Lajjitaadi Avashtas. All these work together synergistically. The Balaadi Avashtas, they show the state of karmic fruition of a planet. And this document over here, on the other side of the screen, this is from a book that's going to be coming out in the spring, dealing with chart interpretation very extensively. But anyway, back to the point. The Balaadi Avashtas show the state of karmic fruition of a planet. And what do I mean by that? Well, the Avashtas are fivefold. There's the Bala Avashta, the infant state, the Kumara Avashta, the adolescent state, the Yuva Avashta, the adult state, the Vriddha Avashta, old, and Mrita, dead. When we talk about karmic fruition, we need to consider that astrology is happening over lifetimes. Your chart's happening over lifetimes. If in this lifetime you have a karma to have illness, and that karma, that planet indicating that illness is falling between 0 degrees and 559 in an odd sign, that shows that that negative karma for illness is in an infant state. So it's a brand new, just starting to develop karma, which means that through willpower, through remedial measures, through changing your thoughts, your behaviors, you can start to reverse that process because it's just starting. If you have a planet that indicates bad health and it's in a Kumara or an adult state, Kumara, that's an adolescent, and Yuva, adult, that's a full-blown, wide-awake, wide-awake's not the right word, a full-blown, fully active karma, which means that if you have a negative karma for health, you're going to experience probably the full brunt of that, the full load of it in this lifetime. And you have to do a lot of work to counteract it or to change it because it's fully developed. Now, it goes the opposite direction as well. If you have a good karma, a karma that's, say, to give you $500,000, and let's say that that good karma, that planet, I don't know, we'll just make something up, Venus exalted in the second house, and really well placed in all the other Vargas. If that planet is meant to give you $500,000 and you see it's in an adult state, you can bet that you're going to get the full $500,000 because it's a fully functional karma. If you see it's in an infant state, it only gives about a quarter, is it a quarter? Yes, Bala infant, 1/4 of the effects. It'll give a quarter of that, which means that you get a quarter of $500,000. It's just beginning karma here. If it's in an old state, you get 1/8, because Vriddha Avashta gives 1/8 of the fruits of that karma, of what's indicated by that planet. So these are how we can use the Balaadi Avashtas. Number one, to see a good karma based on a planet, to see how much of that are you actually going to get. If it's a bad karma, see how much of it are you actually going to get, because you can have a terrible karma for bad health, serious illness, chronic disease. But if it's in a dead state, dead Avashta, you might be afraid of chronic diseases, you might be very paranoid about those things, it's the residue, but since it's in a dead state, it's not going to happen because it doesn't have the power. You might get just a tinge, but overall it's not going to knock you out, say if it was in a Yuva or an adult state. So these help you see the degree of extent of karma that you're going to get. And with these Balaadi Avashtas, this is how it runs in the odd signs. So it goes from 0 to 30. And then it goes backwards in the even signs. So if we look at the even signs, we see that dead starts at 0, goes to 559, and then it keeps going until Bala, the infant, is from 24 to 2959. So it starts at the odd signs, Bala to dead, and then the even sign, it goes dead to infant, and then it keeps repeating itself all the way around. So these are important concepts to note. The next Avashta we want to consider is the Jagradadi Avashtas. And all these tie together with the Lajjitaadi Avashtas. The Jagradadi Avashtas show how well can a planet produce the things that its bhava, that its house indicates. For example, if Saturn rules the 10th house of career, and Saturn is exalted, or Mula Trikona, he's wide awake, Jagrat Avashta, which means he can fully produce prestige and career and success in that regard. If he's in a sleepy state, he gets half that. And sleepy is when a planet is in a neutral or friends sign. Neutral or friend sign. Natural neutral or natural friend sign. Not dignity, not the combined relationships, but the natural friendships. When a planet is in a natural enemy sign or in debilitation, it is asleep, sushupti, which means it can't do anything. If that Saturn is in sushupti, it's debilitated in Aries, that means that when it comes to career, it can't produce that thing of career. However, this is where we start to get the complexity of the situation. With the Lajjitaadi Avashtas, this is probably the most beautiful aspect of astrology I've found so far. You can have a planet that's debilitated, that's in the Jagradadi Avashta of asleep, completely and totally unconscious, yet it's getting delighted by its friends. So if it's Saturn, it's getting delighted by Venus and Mercury. And if Venus and Mercury are awake, Jagrat, Mulatrikona, own home, exaltation, then they can help to uplift that Saturn if they're aspecting Saturn, or if they're with Saturn. So what we see is that we can have a planet in bad Jagradadi Avashta, so it can't produce the things of its house, the things that its house rules. But it can get lifted up by its friends and still produce things. We can have a planet that's in good Jagradadi Avashta, exalted, and if it's got a lot of starvation or thirst or agitation from its enemies, then that can pull it down. And this is why sometimes debilitated planets don't always act debilitated, because they're getting supported by their friends very powerfully. Or sometimes an exalted planet doesn't always act exalted because it's getting tore down by all of its enemies. So when we can start to see this combination of the Jagradadi Avashtas, Lajjitaadi Avashtas, we can actually start to put together how this person's life is playing out. Are they naturally awake and taking care of their things, or are they unconscious yet everyone else is taking care of them? And we've seen this in people in life. Think of the person who is the best person in the world. They should be so successful, yet they get so many bad breaks, so many things go against them that they cannot be successful. That's like having an exalted planet, wide awake, Jagrat, getting torn down, starved, thirsted, agitated, the Lajjitaadi Avashtas, by its enemies. And you can see people who are just terrible, miserable, don't ever do anything to accomplish anything, and yet they always seem to be successful, have enough money, be supported. That's like that debilitated planet getting uplifted by all of its friends, getting delighted by its friends. So these Jagradadi Avashtas, they help us understand how the Lajjitaadi Avashtas work. And mathematically, you want to tie in the Balaadi Avashtas, but we're not going to get that far just yet. Let's just stick with these concepts. Now, with the Lajjitaadi Avashtas, one thing that we want to be aware of is that they allow us to paint a full picture of how the person's life is going to develop. If a person is in a Saturn cycle and Saturn's exalted, and there are no negative influences against Saturn, Saturn dasha can be good. If we see that, say, the Sun is influencing Saturn, starving Saturn, well, that Sun dasha, that Saturn-Sun dasha, the Sun being the subcycle, might start to tear that Saturn down or cause the frustration and difficulty. So it helps us with the dashas. Also, a lot of people make problems with Saturn, saying that he's the one that causes all this grief. But really, Saturn has three enemies: Sun, Moon, and Mars. And when you consider that Saturn has that many enemies, then he's got more of a likelihood to be difficult to give problems because he can't do his job. Saturn's job is to keep things clean, to stay focused, to do the hard work, to be successful, to rise to the occasion, to endure. And if the moon's getting in the way, making Saturn depressed, because the moon causes that kind of depression to Saturn when it's starving Saturn, Saturn can't do anything. He gets depressed. When Mars is aspecting Saturn and starving Saturn, then Saturn gets frustrated and angry. Saturn can't do anything. When Sun starves Saturn or thirsts Saturn or agitates Saturn, Saturn feels disrespected, or he feels like he has to prove himself all the time. Still, nothing happens well with Saturn. So always remember, it's not Saturn. It's the Lajjitaadi Avashtas on Saturn. Saturn, we all need Saturn. He does very good things for our life, but it's when he cannot do those things because of the Lajjitaadi Avashtas that things start to go downhill. Okay, so to recap, Lajjitaadi Avashtas, you really need to learn those. Again, you can go to my website, AshevilleVedicAstrology.com. There's an 8-hour concise course teaching you all about the Lajjitaadi Avashtas, the combinations, how to find them, how they work together. We go through all of the Lajjitaadi Avashtas, through all of the planets, and describe them. Learn those, you will unlock so much more of the chart. With the Jagradadi Avashtas, remember, when a planet is in a natural enemy sign or debilitation, it is asleep, meaning that it cannot take care of the affairs of the house that it rules. When a planet is in a neutral, natural neutral, or natural friend sign, it is sleepy, meaning that it's 50% able to take care of itself. When a planet is in exaltation, Mula Trikona, on home, it is Jagrat, wide awake, which means it can easily take care of its, of the areas of life that the houses rule. Easily take care of the areas of life of the houses that the planet rules. Yes, there we go. And those things can get a mixture, whether they're getting helped out by friends, starved by enemies, agitated, ashamed, all these Lajjitaadi Avashtas, and they start to paint that picture to fill in the rest of the chart to see just how is this person going to make choices and how are they going to experience their life. So this is a lot to consider. You might want to review this video often. Start thinking about it, seeing how you apply it in your own chart, in the charts of people you know. And enjoy the process. Take it easy. These are not easy concepts to get immediately. Take a couple months with them. Take a year with them. Look at multiple charts. This will allow you to start to see how these things work. And if you want to figure out the specifics of how to find the Lajjitaadi Avashtas, please go get that course on my website, AshevilleVedicAstrology.com, because it will tell you exactly how to find them. It's a little too long for a YouTube video because, as I said, it took us about 8 hours, longer, I edited a lot of it, but 8 hours to go through that entire process of all of the Avashtas, Lajjitaadi Avashtas, and how to find them and what they mean. So in the meantime, experiment with the Jagradadi Avashtas, the Balaadi Avashtas, and let me know how it goes. So, have a good day.